Tonight, the United States goes to the polls for the presidential election in a race that has been historic since the campaigns began. Poll numbers have been showing Democrats' candidate has an upper hand against the incumbent Donald Trump. Also tonight, 52 students and 6 teachers from Kolanya Boys High School in Busia County test positive for COVID-19 even as the virus spread in schools escalates. Plus, tonight we tell you why the possibility of a second lockdown is rife as the COVID-19 curve resumes an upward trajectory. And ODM chairman says the process of amending the 2010 constitution has started in earnest following the adoption of the BBI roadmap in Naivasha on Monday, even as DP allies decry exclusion.
Ann Wairimu is our sign language interpreter. TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi, begins right now. Good evening and welcome to the broadcast. Now, even as the Ministry of Education maintains that learners will go on as planned despite the increasing COVID-19 cases, a total of 60 people have tested positive for the virus at Kolanya Boys High School in Busia County from a sample size of 100. Our reporter Mike Kagwongo begins our broadcast tonight.
As the government denies being overwhelmed by the ever-rising COVID-19 cases in the country, it has been confirmed that the last 1 week recorded the highest fatalities of about 100 people from the disease. Learners in various learning institutions have not been spared, with Kolanya Boys High School in Busia County confirming 16 infections on Tuesday. This is according to Governor Sospita Ojamong, who revealed that the cases resulted from 100 tests conducted a few days ago. Among the victims are 52 students, 6 teachers and 2 non-teaching staff.
It was shocking to learn that out of the 100 tests carried out, 6 cases tested positive for COVID-19. Of the 60, 52 are students, 6 teachers, and 2 are support staff.
Governor Ojamong further stated that 60 are isolated within the school, adding that a team of medics has already been dispatched to handle the situation. He reported that Busia County has 1,683 confirmed cases out of 72,321 samples with 10 fatalities.
Since the first case was diagnosed in April 2020, Busia has reported a total of 1,683 positive cases. In total, we have tested 72,321 people, and those who have tested a total number of 1,901. Our isolation centers have handled a total of 2,016, most of whom have been discharged, leaving only 2. So far, 10 COVID-19 deaths have been confirmed.
On his part, Busia County Commissioner Joseph Kanyere says more testing kits have been ordered so as to help combat virus, urging residents to continue observing COVID-19 containment protocols.
Hamuna haja wazazi kuanza kukimbia kule shuleni na kusema tupeleke watoto nyumbani. Kwa kufanya hivyo ni kusambaza maambukizi kwa jamii na kwa familia. Hivyo basi mtuachie hizi visa kama serikali, tushughulikie. Mara ya kwanza wapimwe na mara ya pili baada ya siku 10-14 tuone kama virusi vimeisha kwa miili yao.
Reporting for TV47 from Busia County, I'm Mike Kagwongo.
Well, COVID-19 infections are evidently increasing one day after another, with 1,395 cases being the highest number of infections so far recorded in a single day. In October, physical learning resumed in schools, leading to a number of schools shutting down due to COVID-19 infections.
The month of October, which came to an end barely 3 days ago, recorded the highest number of COVID-19 infections. The total positive cases amounted to 16,663 and 285 deaths, while the total number of recoveries rose to 12,051 cases. The same month recorded the widest gap in terms of infections. 22 cases was the lowest number of positive cases recorded on 5th of October, whereas 1,395 cases was the peak on the last day of the month. As a result of these numbers, a number of schools have been forced to pause their learning and shut down due to COVID-19 infections. Education CS Professor George Magoha insisting that schools will remain open to prepare for national examinations scheduled for March next year.
We are not thinking of closing the schools. We are thinking of going on with exams, and we are preparing for the exams right now.
Kenyans have also presented signs of pandemic fatigue as COVID-19 containment measures, including wearing face masks, is slowly becoming a thing of the past. Disobedience by some matatu operators who have also floated the half-capacity directive. Political gatherings witnessed in various parts of the country, led by President Uhuru Kenyatta, ODM boss Raila Odinga, and Deputy President William Ruto, that have attracted Kenyans in their masses, have continued to gain momentum even after the president himself gave a directive to halt such political meetings. As a result, the average new infections in the month of October stood at 537 cases, while the number of deaths at 9 cases. These are just but a few of the factors that have led to an increase in the positivity rate in the just concluded month to 11.7% as the country battles fears of a second COVID-19 wave. The country has recorded 492 new COVID-19 cases on Tuesday with 12 deaths. Lauren, TV47.
Now, ICU beds in both public and private hospitals in Uasin Gishu County are full to capacity. This as the number of new COVID-19 infections continue to rise. To alleviate the crisis, the county government has begun partnering with non-governmental organizations to create awareness to residents. According to Deputy Governor Daniel Chemno and Health CES Evelyn Rotich, more than 1,200 people have been infected with the virus and 33 deaths reported in Uasin Gishu County. Calvin Chitwa looks at the numbers.
Speaking in Eldoret while receiving a donation of COVID-19 branded awareness materials from Center for Human Rights and Mediation, Uasin Gishu County leaders said so many asymptomatic people are walking around infecting others, hence making it difficult to contain the spread of the disease.
Mimi nazungumza zaidi juu ya middle-aged people na vijana. Hao ndio wanaeneza hii ugonjwa kwa wazazi. Kama unakaa Eldoret, wacha mambo ya kutembea nyumbani kila weekend, kila saa. Piga simu, salamia wazazi. Hii mambo ya kuenda pale na kumingle, we are killing our parents.
They confirmed that more than 10 health practitioners in Uasin Gishu have been infected with the virus in the recent past, but majority of the cases among health workers are of those who got it while on duty in other counties.
I would like to say that none has been has gotten infected while providing care. Most of them were away and then they came back while sick.
We are here to receive our IC material on COVID-19, and that's a gesture that the county is ready to work with other stakeholders.
Many residents of Uasin Gishu were not adhering to the Ministry of Health containment measures until October 24th, when the county topped with 181 new cases countrywide with cases. The county also recorded the highest number of COVID-19 related deaths on the same day.
Tusipojihadhari, tutaondoka kwa hii dunia haraka. Kwa maana ugonjwa wa COVID unaenea sana katika Kenya na katika kaunti yetu. Na hili kwa vile tumeregeza zile amri ambazo zimetolewa. Ukiona barabarani watu watatu wanapita, pikipiki moja inabeba abiria watatu.
The reality set in and people started adhering to the containment protocols at will. Calvin Chitwa, TV47, Uasin Gishu County.
Well, still on COVID-19, President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to convene an extraordinary summit tomorrow, Wednesday, with governors in a bid to discuss the surging COVID-19 numbers. And as Zainab Mohammed now reports, tomorrow's meeting could determine whether or not the country will undergo a second lockdown that will heavily impact on Kenyans' lives and livelihoods. But who is to blame?
Since the relaxation of COVID-19 guidelines and the reopening of some of the major sectors in the country on the 28th of September by President Uhuru Kenyatta, things are seemingly getting murkier by the day, 36 days down the line. From a declining number of COVID-19 infections in the month of August and September to a steep rising curve in the month of October, the dawn of a second wave of COVID-19 infections in the country. Did the reopening come too soon, and is shutting down the country the one and only remaining option? A spot check by TV47 in different parts of Kenya's COVID-19 epicenter, Nairobi City, it is evident that Kenyans are ignoring and flouting COVID-19 guidelines. Most of the people we encountered didn't wear masks, while those who did wore it inappropriately on their chins. This shockingly not excluding law enforcement officers who are supposed to enforce the adherence of COVID-19 containment measures. Businessmen going about their businesses without the care for a mask or the 1.5 social distancing rule. Are Kenyans ignorant, rebellious, or are they just tired 8 months into the pandemic? On the other hand, the political class, having just launched the infamous BBI report, are extremely busy holding rallies and campaigns for the report in different parts of the country. The gatherings that are led by the head of state himself and his deputy, Dr. William Ruto, barely following COVID-19 guidelines, no or little consideration on social distancing rule or even wearing of masks. DP Ruto, through his Twitter handle this evening, acknowledging the damage done by political rallies when it comes to the fight against COVID-19 and promising to scale down his meetings. He says, and I quote, "The upsurge in COVID-19 cases strongly indicates that a second wave might be in the offing. For this reason, I have decided to significantly scale down my public engagements until further notice." The empowerment meetings for this weekend in Machakos, Kitui and Makueni are postponed. End of quote. The reopening of the country brought a huge relief to many Kenyans and to different sectors that came very close to collapsing as a result of the closure. And barely a month after the reopening, another closure will have huge implications to the sectors should Wednesday's meeting determine so. The main question now being, who is to blame should there be a second shutdown? President Uhuru Kenyatta will be meeting with governors from the 47 counties tomorrow in an urgent extraordinary meeting that is expected to chart the country's way forward in the wake of a second wave of COVID-19 infections. Zainab Mohammed, TV47, Nairobi.
From COVID-19 to some politics now, and as members of parliament are gearing up to popularize the Building Bridges Initiative report to Wananchi, the proponents of the report insist that there is no need of unnecessary amendments to the report. Instead, they are urging their counterparts to join the bandwagon or else they meet in the ballot. And as our political affairs reporter Elizabeth Mutuku now reports, battle lines for tough campaigns over the report are already drawn.
BBI!
A day after President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM boss Raila Odinga officially approved the BBI campaign's kickoff to popularize the report among Kenyans ahead of the proposed referendum, those in support of the report as well as opposers are expected to meet in the campaign field to marshal their numbers. National Assembly Minority Leader John Mbadi says after yesterday's meeting, which brought together only BBI supporters, the journey to amend the 2010 Constitution has started in earnest.
The decision as leadership that the meeting that we are going to first have is with those MPs who are supporting the process, so that we agree on the roadmap, because we are pressed of time. There's no time literally to waste in terms of preparing for possible referendum, which must take place latest mid next year.
Mbadi, who is also a Suba South Member of Parliament, has rubbished the narrative by those opposed to the BBI report, saying they had 2 years to present their grievances to the committee, insisting that the BBI train has long taken off.
We're engaging in another process. The accusation then was that we were doing it because we were not satisfied with the draft. Now this draft was taken back to the people and largely discussed in terms of validation. Now you have produced a report, final document, even with suggested legislations. You still want to put it out there again for further discussion. When will that discussion end?
Meanwhile, Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, and who is a close ally of the Deputy President William Ruto, says if their grievances won't be considered in the report, they will have to shoot it down.
Naivasha retreat is not parliament. We are waiting for them at the floor of the House. Even the comma or the full stop they will bring from that meeting, will reject it ab initio. They will not have a space to discuss, because there are so many members of parliament who never attended, not because of anything, but because they didn't see the interest. They didn't see the interest of Kenyans being taken into account.
According to the BBI schedule, the 1 million signatures exercise goes on until December 10th. Then IEBC will have 30 days to verify the signatures before the report proceeds to the counties, where it is expected to gain support from at least 24 county assemblies out of 47 county assemblies. Migori Senator Ochilo Ayako says the report is beneficial to the country, and all they are waiting for is a referendum, whether contested or non-contested.
Now is an elective post designed exclusively for an individual or for individuals. It's an elective post. Any Kenyan, including the hustlers, if there are some people who are called hustlers, can run for that office and win it.
Kenyans are expected to take the referendum vote between April and June next year, and on whether DP Ruto allies will change their mind is now a matter of wait and see.
With the BBI roadmap clearly set, the BBI proponents insist that there won't be amendments to the report, while DP Ruto allies already feel sidelined. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth Mutuku, for that report. 17 minutes past 9 p.m. East African time. You're watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakar Abdullahi. Keep talking to us. The hashtag to use is TV47 News. On a night in which America goes to the polls to decide who will be the president as far as the elections are concerned, we'll be speaking to Tracy Lindquist from Minnesota and Hayla Kafer from Colorado to make sense of the elections in a historic election that is pitting Republican incumbent President Donald Trump and Democrat nominee Joe Biden. We'll be back with that discussion after this break. Stay tuned.
Mambo vipi? Kwa mara nyingine tena tumekutana, na leo tuko maeneo ya Ahero. Kumekuwa kidogo na itilafu sema ambapo tunaenda kidogo kumefurika na maji. Kwa hivyo ina maana kwamba lazima tutafute gari ndogo ili tushuke kule chini tusaidie watu. Ni kwa hisani ya Lotto Foundation na tunahakikisha kwamba tunakufikia wewe Mkenya ili kukusaidia angalau wakati huu mgumu wa COVID-19. Watu pale walipata changamoto kwa sababu kumefurika.
Previously, for the last 50 years, we have been only affected by the flood from River Nyando. Now it has taken, the same thing is repeated this time round. The kind of flood we are experiencing is from Lake Victoria, and it will take time to recede and go back.
Wale family wamekuwa displaced is nearly more than 1,000. Okay. 1,000 per household.
Erokamano Loto Foundation kuom kelonwa chiemo odiochieng' ma kawuono. Nyasaye mondo ogwedhu. Erokamano Loto Foundation.
May God give you the strength, ability and the wisdom to continue doing the good work, reaching out to the people who are greatly in need.
Loto. Asante Loto Foundation.
On behalf of Rotary Club of Kisumu and Rotarians, we say thank you to Loto Foundation.
Pawenzi is the perfect place to get away from the hustles and bustles of the city. Rest and recharge in our cozy bedrooms as you plan to move around Mombasa. At Pawenzi, we have fully serviced studio apartments, 1-bedroomed and 3-bedroomed apartments. Enjoy the breathtaking and scenic views from the balcony before you head down to Shandy Beach. Located right off the Malindi-Mombasa Highway, Pawenzi is easily accessible and ready to receive you with the joy that is synonymous to Mombasa. Call us today and book your staycation spot.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola, taste the simple joys.
Experience the luxurious, airy, and elegant spaces with soothing ambience at Bamboo Loft. We are your home away from home. These creative workspaces are tastefully designed to inspire you to take on your next project. Bamboo Loft is where comfort meets convenience. Its ideal location in the heart of Westlands provides you with quick and easy access to offices and amenities within Westlands and the CBD. Book with us today to reserve your spot.
John loves football on GoTV, so he traded being a best man for being a best fan. Miriam stood her date up just for this matchup. Albert and his family had plans, but they couldn't miss this, and neither can you. Because this new football season, this is football worth watching. Dial *423# to get a GoTV decoder and 1 month of GoTV Max for 1,999 shillings to get all the football action. GoTV, live it.
Welcome back to TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi. Thank you for staying with us. Let's get to more news. And millions of Americans are expected to cast their ballot today as the United States of America holds one of its tightest presidential races of all time, pitting incumbent Republican Donald Trump and Democrats presidential nominee Joe Biden. Nearly 100 million Americans had already cast their ballot through early voting, among them Trump and Biden, this amidst fears that the announcement of the final results could delay for days. David Mudoka has the details.
Gentlemen, a lot of people have been waiting for... The world will watch with bated breath to know the outcome of the U.S. presidential elections, which kicked off earlier Tuesday, pitting incumbent Republican Donald Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden, while voters began streaming into polling stations spread across the country as early as 5 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which translates to 1 p.m. East African Time. Voting is set to go all the way to 8 p.m. EDT, similar to 4 a.m. East African Time. Nearly 100 million more voters, among them Trump and Biden, had already cast their ballot through early voting prior to Election Day. National polls have indicated an early Biden lead. Trump is expected to follow the voting at the White House after voting early in Florida while on a campaign tour, while Biden is set to monitor the elections in his home state of Delaware, where he also cast his vote. But despite Biden leading in national polls, the real competition between the former U.S. Vice President and Trump will be in the Electoral College. The President-elect will have to garner 270 or more Electoral College votes from the 538 electors representing all 50 American states. While blue and red states are set to vote for Trump and Biden respectively, a number of swing states whose allegiances have arguably shifted with each election are poised to be Trump and Biden's battleground. Key battlegrounds that could prove vital in determining the winner include Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Florida, and North Carolina.
The fact is, I will accept it, and he will too. You know why? Because once the winner is declared, after all the ballots are counted, all the votes are counted, that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. And if it's me, in fact, fine. If it's not me, I'll support the outcome.
But Americans and the world could be forced to wait for days for the outcome of the election, with counting of votes in some states expected to drag unlike in previous elections.
On November 3rd, you're watching, see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months because these ballots are going to be all over.
This follows the adoption of a mail voting system in this year's polls that has seen a number of states grapple with embracing the changes. David Muthoka, TV47.
Yes, it is D-Day in America, and who best can paint the situation on the ground than the electorate themselves? I'm currently joined via Skype by Tracy Lindquist from Minnesota and Haley Kafer from Colorado in the U.S. It's 9:26 p.m. East African time. I suppose it is midday in the U.S. Good afternoon.
Yes. Good afternoon. And
all right, Tracy, let me start with you. A record number of Americans, about 100 million, have already voted in person or by mail, accounting for 72% of the overall turnout in comparison to the 2016 polls. What matters to Americans today as they head to the polls?
What matters the most, I believe, is that the American people want to have a safe country, and we want to protect our rights as American citizens. And that's what I believe as Americans that we want. We want to protect our Constitution and our rights that are protected through the Constitution.
You say we want to protect our Constitution. Is there a feeling that it is more than ever today to protect it?
I believe so. I think we definitely want to keep the rights that are in the Constitution protected as well as we can.
Fair enough. Let me bring Haley to the discussion as well. Still on the same question, why are the stakes so high in this Trump versus Biden duel?
I think because they're such different candidates, and we've seen American values be kind of changed a lot the last 4 years. And I think we're all tired of all the scandals and lies, and I personally really want somebody who we can trust, and I think Americans want somebody who's decent, and we think that the options are just so different, so there's a lot riding on it.
You say we have seen in the last 4 years the American values at stake changing. What do you suppose by so?
I think one is honesty and treating people equally. There's been kind of a disregard for the truth the last 4 years by our president. And we want to be able to trust in our president that they have the best interest of the American people, and that everybody is valued and everybody is treated equally.
Fair enough. Tracy, in your own marking scheme of 1 to 10, how would you rate President Donald Trump's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic in the U.S.?
For a number, I would say I would have to give him like a 7 or an 8. I definitely think he could have done some things differently, but I do overall believe that he has tried to do things correctly. I think we are in such a place of unknown on how this COVID, how it acts, how to treat it. It's still such a big unknown that even the scientists don't even know how to handle it, let alone the president. So for him to decide on everything is a big job. And I think that there is definitely improvement that needs to be done. It's more understanding, but that also takes time because we don't know how COVID is, how to treat it exactly yet. And hopefully through time, a vaccine can be founded or a better treatment on how to fix it.
All right, Tracy, you say 7 to 8. This is a president who has termed the virus as a Chinese virus, who has downplayed the wearing of masks, who knew the virus before on time, but reluctantly said he did not want to cause panic. 7 is too high for that president, is it not?
I disagree. I feel like he was the one that said no travel beforehand from China, and I remember Pelosi saying this, that they thought it was wrong, that they should keep the flying in between China open. And I feel like he said that there was some virus that was happening, and he did try to say and stop it before it even came to the United States, but then he was called a racist for that.
All right, this is a virus, Tracy, that has claimed over 230,000 Americans. And for a president to say that, and quote, I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic. This is the president of the United States of America.
Yes, he is. I do believe that we do definitely have deaths here in the United States because of COVID, but I do believe he is trying to find a vaccine for it as well.
All right. Haley, President Donald Trump's handling of the COVID-19 has received mixed reactions. Some say he did to the best of what he could under such unique circumstances where the entire globe is facing such a pandemic. In your own view as well, would you think he would have done better, or has he done better?
I think he's done a terrible job. I think he dismantled the pandemic response team and the plans that Obama had put in place. He admitted, he downplayed it for so long, and I think he caused many, many more deaths than needed to happen. So I think it's shameful, and I think that his handling of COVID alone disqualifies him from being our president anymore.
Well, you say he did terribly wrong. Others argue differently. Some say and give credit to the initial lockdown and steps and measures that the president took. Some figures suggesting that the number of deaths could be double of what it is now, were it not for the lockdown that the president imposed.
Yes, but the fact is still that we have only 5% of the world's population and something like 25% of the deaths. I mean, no serious person can say that the United States has done a good job handling it. We knew about this. We know that Trump had information about this in January. There wasn't any real steps taken until March, and that's thousands and thousands of lives that we can never get back.
All right, let's talk of another thing, which is the unrest anticipated following the polls. There were fences that were added up to the perimeter wall of the White House. Many businesses in Washington, D.C. boarded up their storefronts and windows. First, the United States in many ways is viewed as the global lead and champion of global peace. But there are fears of unrest, violence rather, after polls in the United States? Tracy?
Yes, there. Where I live, not so much, but I do know that larger cities are preparing for riots. Hopefully there won't be any riots, but they are preparing for riots.
And why are they preparing for riots? Is it because the results will be disputed in some political quarters?
I believe so, yes. I believe if it's a close race, I do believe that there will be a potential for riots. Yes, I do. I think that people will want their voices heard, and unfortunately some of them demonstrate it through riot.
All right, Hailey, still on the question of anticipated unrest. Is this primarily because of the results or the division in as far as what we at a global stage and rather continental view as the divisive and sometimes violent politics of America is?
I haven't gotten the feeling, at least in Colorado, that there's people are afraid of violence or riots. I think because Biden is expected to win, they're saying that at least the Black Lives Matter, people who are doing the riots and stuff, they will likely be happy with the results. So I don't feel that there's going to be any violence or riots, but I guess we'll see if it's a close election.
All right, Tracy, at another analysis level, the Washington Post says President Trump made close to 20,000 lies in the 4 years that he has been in office, which accounts to 12 lies in a day. Why should Americans, you included, trust Trump?
I do believe that sometimes the media skews what he says to twist it into their favor. So it's not an outright lie, but it's not an outright truth either. Mm-hmm. And so it comes out as a lie, is what he said. So, I believe that it's not completely all truth. I mean, all lies, what he's saying. He is a truthful man. He's wanting the best for America. I do believe, like I said, the media does skew what he says to turn it into a lie.
Fair enough. Hailey, Tracy says that Trump wants the best for America. If he intends the best for the global leader, why not give him another chance to lead for 4 years?
I think there's a lot of evidence to the contrary, that he doesn't actually he thinks of himself and his family and his friends and getting rich. I think he cares much more about himself than he does the wellness of the American people. The COVID, that was a perfect example. He cared more about how he looked, his image, and before another election. He didn't want to cause a panic, and actually he caused a lot of deaths because of that. I think there's no doubt that he is constantly lying. Nobody can ever believe what he says now. There's all these fact checking going on that never used to happen. We used to be able to trust that what the president said was true. Now we have that feeling. So I don't trust him, and I don't think most Americans trust what he says. Even if some maybe like him, I think it's hard for anybody to really believe what he's saying is true.
You talk of the family. He's not the only American politician per se whose family has been linked to irregularities in as far as the politics and the running of the country is concerned. Joe Biden, who is the lead competitor of Donald Trump, the Democratic nominee, has also been accused of same.
No, I think his son was on the board of the Ukrainian company, and he shouldn't have been, but there's not the same allegations that they've gotten rich the same way. Biden is actually one of the only politicians who hasn't gotten rich in office. He's been in office for almost 40 years, and he's still a modestly wealthy man. He still takes the train to work, and he has not gotten rich the way that Trump has made so much money his family the last 4 years. So I don't think that there is the same allegations.
But Hailey, the fact that his son was in the board of a Ukrainian company caused a conflict of interest and allegations of conflict of interest, which indict him as someone who is running for the presidency of the United States.
Yeah, I don't defend him being on the board. I don't think I think he should not have been. That was conflict of interest. But again, that's not Joe Biden. That's his son. And we're not electing his son. We're electing either President Trump or Joe Biden. So Joe Biden himself has not been accused of that kind of dishonesty that Trump has.
Fair enough. Tracy, let me get to Tracy now. Tracy, Trump has a philosophy of, quote, making America great, which he runs as a slogan in all his campaigns. How much of America has he made it great and fast for the 4 years that he has been in office?
I know that he has lowered the unemployment rate for the minorities, the African Americans, greatly. This is like the lowest unemployment rate for the African American community. Mm-hmm. And also that he has given financially to college and institutions that are exclusively to African Americans, so that he has tried to help them out as much as that he can. So I do believe that he has made the minorities better off by employment and by college opportunities. Yes.
Well, Tracy, is that not in contradiction of what he at least says publicly? This is a president who has embraced birtherism, referring to the African nations as asshole countries, telling congresswomen of color to go back to where they come from, calling Mexican immigrants rapists, refusing to denounce white supremacy.
He has actually said that the white supremacy groups do not have a place in America. He has stood firm against them. I do believe that has not been covered correctly in the media. I know he has said that the white supremacy groups have no place here. They are full of hate and that they shouldn't be involved in it, in what they're doing. And unfortunately, I cannot comment on the other ones. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of what you are asking about, being the African American ladies being sent back to where they belong. I'm sorry, I don't have enough knowledge about that one.
Fair enough, and that's where we'll have to end this discussion. Tracy Lindquist joins us from Minnesota and Hailey Kefa from Colorado. Thank you for making time for us here on TV47.
Thank you.
All right, keep talking to us. The hashtag to use tonight is TV47 News. Someone on 22047 is asking, why is the American election on Tuesday? Well, that is primarily because the Congress designated the first Tuesday of the first Monday in November as the election day back in 1845. Let's get to some other news now. And Malindi MP Aisha Jumwa, together with her co-accused Geoffrey Otieno, have appeared before Justice Ann to receive a mention of the hearing dates for their appeal. Justice Ann mentioned that the 2nd, 3rd and 4th of February 2021 as the preferred dates for the first official hearing of the case. 4 witnesses are expected to give their account every day. Prosecution plans to call a total of 20 witnesses.
This morning at around 9 a.m., Malindi Member of Parliament Aisha Jumwa, together with her co-accused Geoffrey Okuto Otieno, walked in to come and get the listening dates, or rather the hearing dates for the case against them, the murder charges facing them. And Judge Ann Onginjo gave the hearing dates to start next year, February, on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th of next year, 2021, February, when the first witnesses will be here to give their record of the case that is facing the Malindi Member of Parliament and her co-accused. The total number of the witnesses is 30 in total. However, they will start with the 12th, and on the 4th of February 2021, then Judge Ann Onginjo will give the dates for the subsequent hearing of the same case. Now remember, Malindi Member of Parliament is also facing corruption charges against her, and this particular case, she is actually facing, the appeal that she's actually waiting is against her, is the murder charges against her that she's facing is for one Gumbao Jola who died during the by-election for Ganda Ward in 2015 October. Now, last time when Aisha Jumwa was in these very corridors of the courts, witnesses also said that the side of the witnesses say that they're afraid that if she were to be released on bail or bond, then she would interfere with witness accounts. However, the side for that there was the lawyers for Aisha Jumwa did say that she's been out there, she's been a member of parliament, her position is an important position, and she needs to go back to work and also work for her ward and also for the Malindi people. So hence she may not be able to affect any witness account. As so far nobody has complained or rather even come to court to complain about the member of parliament for Malindi affecting or interfering with any witness account. Then Justice Njoki did rule that she would be released on bail on bond, in which she also was able to raise for 4 million shillings, and her co-accused was given release bond and bail of 3 million shillings, and they're now free. And despite the fact that they enjoy this particular freedom, it isn't over yet. They're still to come back here to the corridors of the court next year, February 2nd, 3rd and 4th, as I have said earlier.
Elsewhere, President Uhuru Kenyatta today led in the issuance of 10,000 title deeds to residents of Samburu County. Speaking at the Kenyatta International Conference Center, where he issued 2 title deeds to the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, President Kenyatta encouraged the conservation of land for posterity.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has said the government is solving the historical land question in the country through the intensified issuance of title deeds. Speaking at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, where he kicked off the issuance of 10,000 title deeds to Samburu residents, President Kenyatta expressed satisfaction that over 5 million title deeds have been issued to Kenya since his administration came into office in 2013.
Na kutoka hapo tumeendelea mpaka sasa pamoja na waziri Farida Karone na maofisa wa Wizara ya Ardhi, tumefika pahali ambapo tumefika, ambapo zaidi ya Wakenya milioni 5 wameweza kupata vyeti vya kumiliki mashamba yao, na wameweza kuyapata bila malipo na wengi, na hiyo ndio furaha yangu.
The President issued 2 title deeds to the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife for the 2,000-acre parcel of land earmarked for the expansion of the Nairobi National Park and 155 acres in Nairobi City Park.
Tunaendelea pia kuhakikisha ya kwamba hata mali ya kitaifa tunaipanua, misitu yetu pate title deed yake, mbuga za wanyama za kitaifa zipate title zao. Na leo kwa mara ya kwanza kutoka hii mbuga ya wanyama inaitwa Nairobi National Park iundwe, badala ya kukata shamba, leo hii serikali inaongeza hiyo shamba na ndio tuweze kuhifadhi hiyo mbuga la wanyama, sio kwetu sisi lakini pia kwa watoto wa watoto wetu.
In the same event, the President also flagged off 75 locally assembled vehicles for the National Titling Program and encouraged county governments to give priority to locally manufactured products as a way of creating employment for the youth.
Nilisema ya kwamba kama Wakenya tuko na jukumu la kuzalisha uchumi wetu na kuzalisha uchumi wetu. Tusiwe tunategemea ya kwamba kila kitu ambacho tuwafanya yatoka nje ya nchi yetu na wananchi wetu hawana kazi. Na tumeanza program ambayo kwa sasa tuna magari mengi ambayo sasa tunanunua, na tunanunua kwa wale ambao wanaunda hizo gari hapa, wanaziassemble hapa, na ndio vijana wetu waweze kupata kazi.
The issuance of the title deeds shall seek to benefit many, among them widows and orphans.
Sasa nimefurahi, hata nimeshukuru rais yetu siku ya leo. Hata kitu ya kwanza mimi nashukuru sana, mimi ni mjane. Nimekujia title deed ya bwana yangu. Ndio nafurahia sana, nimeona hata rais yetu anahesabu wajane pamoja na watoto wa yatima.
The second phase of the title deed issuance shall be done at the end of January 2021. Lynette Gidwa, TV47.
Moving on, the Media Council of Kenya's Complaints Commission has been sworn in at the Supreme Court in Nairobi. This as a middle-aged man in Migori County is nursing serious injuries after he was burnt with hot water by his wife. This and much more, our reporter Lenity Githinji reports.
The Media Council of Kenya Complaints Commission new board members has been sworn in by Justice Said Chitwe. The MCK Compliance Board, in accordance to Media Act Council 2013, will be tasked with improving and mediating media, supervising adherence of high standards of journalism through close collaboration with other players.
The work has been cut out for us. We are aware of the role of media in defining the choices in society, and being that at the moment the nation is engaged in a very critical conversation to do with governance, to do with the constitutional reform issues, the role of the media and the role of journalists will be very critical in shaping how we move forward, how society takes shape. And in this one, I think it will be very critical because the Complaints Commission has that cardinal role of shepherding the work that journalists do by making sure that professional ethics is maintained and journalists have a safe working environment, and the public also has a right to know.
Minority communities living in the expansive Eastern Mau Forest block have called on the national and county government to enact laws for recognition and protection of indigenous persons. Speaking while launching a report on health and education among minority are still lagging behind in access to education and health services.
Na kwa saa hii serikali pia tungependa wajue ya kwamba tungetaka hizo vitu zitukaribie kama devolved health center. Jambo lingine ni mambo ya employment. Mambo ya employment tumekuwa tukiba.
Finally, a middle-aged man in Migori is nursing serious burns after his wife of 7 years scalded him with hot water at dawn Tuesday. George Otieno Othiambo has been having domestic quarrels with his wife known only as Mama Safi.
Ananichoma mimi na maji moto leo usiku. Tena anataka kunyang'anya mimi vitu zangu za nyumba. Sasa hiyo ndiyo inaleta shida, anachoma mimi mbaya sana. Ambalo limefanyika leo ni kitu cha kusikitisha sana. Hakuna penye mwanaume anaweza kupigwa na mwanamke. Hii ni kitu ambacho tunakataa kila siku, maneno ya gender based violence. Unapata kwa nyumba badala ya watu kuishi pamoja kwa amani, unapata mwanamke anapiga mwanaume. Sasa hili ni jambo la ila gani? Unapata mtu anachoma mwenzake na maji.
Cases of gender-based violence have been on the rise in Migori County. Lenity Githinji, TV47.
Sports, brought to you by 555bet.
Let's get to the world of sports now, and the Kenyan trio of Helen Obiri, Faith Kipyegon and Perez Jepchirchir among 10 nominees for the 2020 World Athletes of the Year Female Award. Obiri, the world